الجليل مدين كل من ينمى إلى الإسلام مدين كل من صلى له أو صام مدين كل مرتد ثوبي الإحرام إلى مروى خديجة كوكب الأعلى أضحكت للدين سنا وهبته ما تمنى
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in your questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp number. The QR code should be there in the corner right now. You can scan that and you can add in your question. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah, the technical team will send them to me on my iPad. And inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all of your queries. I'm your host, Mohsin Shia, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'a. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening?
Alhamdulillah. Well,
fantastic.
Alhamdulillah.
Sheikhna, we've already got questions coming in, but we will start with this one. Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling for praying the daily prayer without intention?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. One of the conditions of praying and salah is to have the intention. Without the intention, it means that you're just exercising. It's not actually a salah, a prayer, or a prayer outside the salah. Just just reciting some verses for the purpose of thawab. But to start the salah, you must have intention. إني أصلي ركعتان صلاة الفجر قربة الله تعالى. You don't have to say it. You just have to keep it into your mind. Yeah, it's just in your mind. So that's how the intention is made. Otherwise, the salah is batil. It's not salah without the intention.
So, Sheikhna, what about if I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's Fajr time. I go perform wudu, and then I stand on the janamaz, the masalla, sajada, facing Qibla, and I say Allahu Akbar, and I go straight into start praying my Fajr prayer. I didn't, intentionally, or I didn't concentrate on saying I'm going to pray 2 rak'atain, facing the Qibla, praying the Fajr prayer, wajib kurbatan ila Allah. I didn't say that. I just, in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's Fajr time, I need to pray Fajr quickly, and I just went straight into it and did it. Does that signify an intention, or is that a grey area?
You see, the intention is when you want to perform an act, you know what you're doing. So if you're asked in the middle of the salah, what are you doing? You say straight away, I'm praying Salat al-Fajr.
Yeah.
That should be fine to that extent. But if no, you haven't had any intention, it's just you standing and reciting some verses. And if they ask you, you say, well, I don't know, I'm just standing reciting some verses or dua.
Yeah.
Then that's not salah.
Makes sense. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. This one is, Assalamu alaikum, can I eat pork flavoured snacks? That is from YouTube, Sheikhna.
You see, if it's from the actual pork meat, or its ingredients or whatever is attached to pork, it's all najis and haram to consume. Now the issue is, which is mentioned, that if it's vegetarian and it says pork flavor, for example, or beef flavor, that's the issue. That is it purely vegetarian, and that flavor is just artificial flavor? Yeah, that's a different story, of course. But if it's derived from the actual fat or the meat or any substance of that meat, that's najis meat, then of course it will be haram and najis. The
question really is, why would you want to eat something that tastes like pork? I don't know, but people have different palates. Sheikhna, I think this was from last week actually. Is it permissible to tell a lie when there is a danger threatening your life? And that's from WhatsApp.
I think we mentioned something similar yesterday, that there are situations in which, and I mentioned the hadith, that Allah Azza wa Jalla would make something halal, which is already origin haram, in exceptional circumstances. For example, that for example you're praying and there's somebody's drowning, you have to cut your salah, make it batil, and save somebody else, because you have the most important and you have important. To save someone's life is more important than salah that you're praying, because you can go and repeat it again and pray again. So to save someone's salah life is important than the salah. So these are ahkam fiqhiyya different in terms of what is important and most important, and the same thing applies. We have the taqiyya. What Ammar did, as I mentioned this last episode, that Ammar said the disbelieving words, and he saved his life, and that was taqiyya. And the Quran mentioned that his heart was assured by the iman, filled with iman and faith, but he said it to save his life. So what he said wasn't true. Was it true? No. When he praised the idols of mushrikeen of Mecca, it wasn't true. But to save his life, that's taqiyya basically. That is in the Quran and in the Sunnah and the Hadith, which sadly some non-Shia accuse Shia that they lie and they are hypocrites because they conceal their aqidah and they show something else. That's in the Quran to protect one's life.
Yes. We've got questions coming in from YouTube, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, मेरा सवाल ये है कि बैंक में पैसे डबल होने से स्कीम में डाल सकते हैं, means वो ब्याज के शर्त है या नहीं? Okay, as in Urdu, and they're asking, can I put money into a bank scheme when my money doubles and increases? Is there anything with the Sharia that doesn't allow that to happen?
If the bank uses what is known in the fiqh books of the ulama, they trade actually. There's a specific term, mudaraba, which means investment in the bank. Yes. That you put money and the bank will tell you what we're going to invest this money in particular business, and it depends. You might get 2%. Next month you get 5%. Depends on the market and the sales and purchases. So in this case, it's allowed. Why not?
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Can I talk to a girl to get her attention, so later I read the mut'a line with her? That's from YouTube.
What is not permissible is, let's say, exchanging the words of love and what arouses the lust and temptation. That's not permissible. Yes, you talk professionally. This is what we need, as they do. For example, if they want to go and to see the girl, so they would talk and talk about what, for example, this individual works, his job is, his profession, for example, and they talk so that they can arrange for the marriage. But beyond that, which is, let's say, friendship before the marriage, is not permissible.
Fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum. For running businesses, if one requires a bank loan and pays interest against that, is that okay? That's from WhatsApp.
Well, it really depends. In some cases, if one is in compelled situation, I think I've said this before many times, that if you have, let's say, a MasterCard, a credit card, for example, and if you buy, you have to pay interest. If you don't pay it within, 50, 60 days. If you're compelled, then you can do so. If you're compelled to buy a house, pay a mortgage, pay interest on top of this, you're allowed. So if you're, as I've said hadith before, that what is haram becomes halal because if you're compelled to do so, then that's how the ulama derive the hukm shar'i from these hadith, that one who is in such a situation that is compelled to do so, then they can do so. So it depends on the condition of this individual. A student who wants to study, he needs money, he needs to pay his bills and so forth. Then the loan would be ala kulli hal.
Question here from WhatsApp, Sheikh. That's going to be a long one. I have heard answers from Sheikh, but I have not got the answer which I was expecting. How can a person stop masturbating after marriage when he doesn't get a chance to do intercourse with his wife due to some reasons like his wife is very tired at night due to a lot of working during the day and so forth. How can he totally stop it? And also, as per the answer, the mom is used to give signs of war. My question is why the mom is used in Muharram Jalus, wherein is not a sign of war. We're just letting the world know about Imam Hussein. Okay. Also, some people do matam in a similar fashion and to the tune of the damam. I think this is not allowed. Can you please elaborate? Okay, we have two questions on Sheikh. This is from WhatsApp. One is that how can one refrain from masturbating and so forth, especially if they're in a marriage, but the wife is not making herself available to the husband. And secondly was in regards to the mom. It was used during the war times and so forth. But we're not in a war right now, so why are they being used during the masira, the marches and processions that we have in honor of Imam Hussein?
Well, for the first question, again, and even from the narrations, that someone came to the Imam alayhi salam and he brought with him a young lad who was actually masturbating. So the Imam ordered for this individual to be in somehow arrange for him a wife, marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is a solution. Now, if he can't do with this marriage, there are other sorts of ways in which one can actually perform the halal marital intercourse methods. You have to somehow avoid this haram. That's why you see some people will have multiple marriages as a result. So of course, they please their first wife in somehow because they have an issue with this regard. So, other marriages are open. I don't encourage, but if this individual wants to continue with this act of haram, then he needs to find alternative or explain the situation to the wife that if you don't allow, I have no choice because I'm committing haram. And in this case, I have to find a solution. Marriage is the only way one can actually solve this issue. That's why we have in some Arab countries, for example, they have 2 or 3 wives, for example. And they have pleased all of them somehow. But as I've said, this is as a last resort for this individual. The act of haram cannot be continued. Other than that, maybe they would advise fasting for those who are single, because fasting would actually repel and remove away that energy, which is preserved in one's self and body. But anyhow, he needs initially to talk to his wife and try to convince her, encourage her, because this is in which wajib. One of the wajibat of the wife is to offer the husband his needs.
And vice versa.
And vice versa as well, so yes.
Fair. Second question was on the mom being used in the masira, in the processions.
As I've said before, the ulama have the fatwa that if you mean that the mom which is used in the, let's say, Iraq, that I don't know, wide
war drums.
War drums made from animal skin, exactly, maybe goat or sheep or even camel skin. That is allowed. That's for the war purpose. You can apply it and use it in the war. But music, no, you can't use it. Music instruments, according to many fatwa of the ulama.
From WhatsApp, Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. How do you read a sigha of mutta when the girl does not speak Arabic? Can I get permission of her for saying yes, and then I read the line and then I say yes on her behalf? Okay, first of all, when we recite Aqd or Nikah, it's the female is the one that recites it, and the male has to accept and reject. Can the male be na'ib, can recite it on behalf of the female?
Some ulama would allow it in terms of you reciting the whole contract on behalf of her as well. But some wouldn't accept it. So you need a third party to recite it. So best way is to go to somebody, to a Mawlana or somebody who you don't want to, let's say, somebody who they don't know you, for example, if you don't want to be exposed for this type of marriage. Because some people don't want to be done secretly. Even for the second or third marriage, some people in a permanent marriage, they try to keep it secret. So you go to a Mawlana and they would recite for you the whole process of the nikah. And that's what is happening in overall, when some people would go and ask for somebody else to recite the nikah instead.
Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that this is a live show. We're taking all your questions. If you have any question you'd like to ask on any topic whatsoever, please send them in via the WhatsApp. The QR code should be there. You can send it via YouTube comment section or Facebook Live. If you're watching and you'd like to call in, 0203 515 0199, our phone lines are open. And you can ask the Sheikh the question directly. From YouTube, Sheikh Nas, Assalamu alaikum. Can I talk to a girl from another part of the world only with text and not seeing her or hearing her? So this is like emailing or text messaging, WhatsApping back and forth. There's no voice, there's no pictures, there's no video call. It's just text going back and forth. Is that allowed? You could say sending letters back and forth. Is that okay?
Any communication method with the opposite gender that leads to the arousal of the lust would be haram. So you have to make the choice.
From YouTube, Salaam alaikum, Sheikhna. Some of the crisp packets have a halal stamp on them. Are they allowed to eat? How sure can we be that they are halal? That is from YouTube.
If you trust the company that actually prepared this type of snacks or food, or let's say canned meat, like sausages and other types of meat, then if you trust them, then you can buy, that's fine. Yeah, why not?
I think we need to make one thing clear, is that if the packaging has halal on it and also kosher, specifically if it's meat, then most likely it is not halal at all. A lot of companies do this because some Muslims eat kosher meat, not the madhab of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, but other madhabs they do. So they'll stick a halal sticker on it because it makes more sales for them. So they'll do that. But for us Shia, halal, kosher and halal together on a packaging for meat, totally not allowed. Sheikhna, is it clear that the Islamic Sharia is not permissible to change the gender of a man into a woman, nor a woman into a man? However, in the case of bisexual male or female individuals who are born with both the male and female genitalia, it is permissible to undergo a sex change through sex assignment surgery.
For the second scenario, yes, it is permissible because now we have an illness. They were born with two...
Both genitalia.
Exactly. So, and then they have to choose to be a male or female according to their inclination towards the male or female. And the hadith of Ahl Bayt, they're given signs to that, which I don't want to mention them because
fair enough.
Anyhow, yes, but not for the one who is completely a male to make himself as a female. That's not permissible.
Sheikhna, when you have a traveler and someone who's on a journey, and let's say they run out of money or something like that, are they allowed to take zakat money in order to continue their journey and arrive home safe?
Well, the condition is that if somebody runs out of money, let's say they're in Hajj or in Ziyarat, for example, for any reason they had cash and they lost all that money. Number one, if that trip is not a sinful trip, because we have some sinful trips. Some people go to, let's say, Las Vegas for specific acts of haram, gambling, for example. Then this is a safar ma'asi, as they mentioned the ulama in their books. It's a sinful trip in which you have to complete your salah. You can't pray qasr there. Because you're going for specifically gambling and the acts of vices and haram. But if it was just a halal or permissible trip, then if you can somehow borrow money from some friends, or they can transfer to you money from abroad, from your account, for example, then if you have to do so. Otherwise, if you have no access to money, then of course you can get the zakat to pay off, for the return ticket or something, or for your stay in that location.
Sheikh from WhatsApp. Sometimes we are unaware of the ingredients of food sold in shops in Western countries. It might be free from those ingredients that are forbidden to us, or it might contain them. Are we allowed to eat such items without looking into their ingredients or inquiring about them, or is that not allowed to us?
No, in overall you have the ingredients mentioned. So you read them. If there's nothing, then you can consume. Even if it doesn't says suitable for vegetarian, for example. In some countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, there's no suitable for vegetarian or V sign.
Yeah.
But they actually read. They know the ingredients exactly what they mean. You just read them. If there's no animal fat as part of the ingredients, or let's say alcohol, intoxicating alcohol, for example, then of course, without these, then you can consume it.
Shia, what about those sometimes ingredients that we don't know what they are? E numbers, for example, or sometimes they have these chemicals we've never heard of. What would you suggest in that situation?
You can do a quick search on Google and find out exactly what they mean.
Fair.
Just to be on the safe side.
Fair enough. Sheikh, what is the best means of educating and culturing the self, and what are the best deeds one should practice?
Well, the best way is to avoid the acts of haram. So, learning the ahkam, as we do alhamdulillah in this show, to learn and know and read what is haram and what is wajib, to practice and perform what is required by the Sharia and by Allah Azza wa Jal, from the acts of worship and the acts of transactions, of what is halal transaction. You have to know these in terms of what type of trade is halal, what type of transaction is halal, and which are haram. To know these things would gradually raise your awareness of the faith and religion and brings you close to Allah Azza wa Jal. In Surah number 79, ayah 40, Allah states, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. And as for he who fears the station of his Lord and forbids the soul from desire, surely paradise will be the refuge. So for the one who wants to go to paradise, you have to forbid yourself from the evil acts and the haram acts. This is how we can get the paradise, reach the paradise with perfection, in faith, in aqeedah, in akhlaq, in taqwa and piety.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. I'm going to go to a short break, but join us after the break as we continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars at home.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or over
Islam
the
established based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there
countries?
an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 09 2155.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures
Is
of
it
scholars at
permissible to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the
established
graves?
based on peace
Is
and
it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there
countries?
an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 09 2155.
Welcome back to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. This is a live show. We're taking all your questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them via the WhatsApp number. QR code should be right over there. You can scan that. We'll take you to the WhatsApp page. You can ask on Facebook Live or on YouTube in the comment section, or you can give us a call 0203 515 019 if you are in the UK. If you are abroad, you can call us on the WhatsApp number there on the bottom, and we will be more than happy to answer your questions. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikh, singing, as we know, is haram, and if one recites the Quran or lamentation in singing manner, one obviously has committed an haram act. However, what about reciting them in a vocally pleasant voice, which is not tantamount to singing?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As long as it's not singing, so the urf, the norm would say, he's not singing, he's reciting the Holy Quran in a nice voice, in a tartil, tajweed, as we know today, common within the Quranic circles around the world, then there's no objection. One can actually recite in this manner and form.
Sheikh, what about the clapping that happens? Sometimes we recite nasheed and latmiyat and so forth, and there's clapping. Is that allowed? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, the normal clapping is allowed. Why not? Yeah, there's no issue with it. But one shouldn't replace it with dhikr of Ahlul Bayt with salawat.
I see.
I mean, the salawat would be, of course, more favorable and thawab as well.
Question coming in from one of our viewers. Assalamu alaikum. Can I follow a prayer leader if I do not know that he is adil? I am a follower of Sayyid Sistani.
The Sayyid mentions that you must basically make sure that that individual is adil. Yes, he's a Maulana, he's a Sayyid, but I don't know him. It's my first time entering that mosque. Should I pray behind him? You have to achieve or establish that he is adil and just. And that's by asking those around him, or if you know him personally, or in somehow the body in which assigned this individual, you trust them, then of course you can pray behind. Otherwise, one of the conditions of the of the Shia Imamiyya about Imam Jama'ah, that he must be adil even if he was a Shi'i. Let alone if he was a non-Shi'i.
Yeah.
That he must be adil and just. And that means you shouldn't be committing sins, major sins.
Fair.
Continuous sinning, for example, alcohol, Audible, listening to the music and so forth.
Question coming in from YouTube, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
As-salam.
Can I talk to a non-mahram girl to study related issues only? So let's say, Sheikh, college, university, there's always mixed groups and so forth, and sometimes we have to discuss and talk about topics regarding the lesson. As long as I'm talking about that, is that okay?
One must keep it professionally at all times. They shouldn't exceed. Sometimes it exceeds banter, cracking jokes. That will lead to haram. So one should, from day one, to put a boundary that I only talk for the purpose of, let's say, study or work purpose, for example. As we do when we go to the shops. Big supermarkets, there are ladies who try to help, the saleswomen, they try to help other people. So we talk with them professionally. That should be fine. But if it exceeds that, then of course it becomes a bit problematic.
From WhatsApp, Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. Some permissible games use dice in them, so is it allowed to play with it? For example, Sheikh, Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, these are non-gambling games, these are board games, they use dice. Is it okay to use dice in those games?
You see, the hurma is not with the dice itself. The haram is the board. If it's backgammon, for example, and other types of, let's say, gambling tools used, for example, that is haram, not the actual dice.
Fair. From YouTube, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Can I lie to my teacher for not doing the assignments? Naughty boy or girl, for that matter. Sheikh, if I have not done my homework, haven't done my assignment, am I allowed to, I wouldn't say lie, but let's just say, am I not allowed to tell, can I make up an excuse for my teacher?
Ayatollah Sistani mentions that you have to follow the laws of the, let's say, the place that you live and work and study. You have to respect the law. So you can't cheat in exams, you can't cheat in the class. You have to respect the law of the place that you are actually living and dealing with, be it even traffic law, whatever is required by the law, you have to respect it and apply it.
From YouTube, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. If magic is haram, what about being an illusionist or magic tricks which are not real magic? Sheikh, we see on YouTube so much, even in like, when you go out and stuff, there's always what we call party tricks. People know how to do things. It's not real magic, it's just really good illusion and hand movement and so forth. Are those okay? Are those accepted?
I mean, what is forbidden is the magic, and which is, the famous one is the black magic, for example. These are forbidden. Otherwise, it's just a hand movement.
Yeah, I mean, they'll put a ball in one hand and it disappears, or pull a coin from your ear and stuff. I mean, we do it with children mainly, to entertain them and so forth. Is that okay? Is that acceptable?
As long as there's no haram involved in such games, it should be fine.
Fair enough, Sheikhna. Next question, Sheikhna, is which surahs are mustahab to recite in salah? Now, at Hawza, we were always told in the first rak'ah, Surah Al-Qadr is mustahab, highly recommended to recite. And in the second rak'ah, Surah Ikhlas, or Surah Tawheed, as some people say. But Sheikhna, yes, there's so many Quranic ayahs, there's so many Quranic surahs. Which are the best to recite in your salah?
Yes, indeed, you just mentioned on the first rak'ah, Surah Al-Qadr, second rak'ah, Surah Al-Ikhlas or Tawheed, as mentioned. These are the mustahab ones. Of course, if you can recite longer surah, that also credit.
Surah Al-Jumu'ah on Fridays.
Yeah, for each surah there is a...
Al-Fajr maybe.
I used to attend one of the lectures, lessons by one of the ulama, and he used to bring a hadith about if you recite this specific surah, long surah like Jum'ah, As-Saf, what are the benefits or the thawab and the rewards in the hereafter. I think I remember once that teacher mentioned that if you recite Surah As-Saf, I think, in your salah, then you will be walking with Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam on the Day of Judgment. He will lead you towards. You will be walking with him, joining him, in other words, which means full tranquility, peace, and assurance from this great Prophet of Allah Azza wa Jal, that you're going to be in safe haven in at least on the Day of Judgment until you reach the paradise, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Some young men work in repairing and maintaining radio and television broadcasting equipment, and it is obvious that the broadcast contains some prohibited audio and video materials, but their job does not actually involve the presentation of the programs. What is the ruling regarding their job function?
Yes, as long as they don't present and promote those programs, then they can actually, work in maintenance and repairs. Because they're not promoting those programs, they're not actually showing them and airing them, for example.
Yes.
I think we had similar question about somebody serving the pork on the table and somebody who's preparing the pork back in the kitchen, for example. So different between serving and promoting and preparing something also, just cooking, let's say, for example.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. My class fellow name is Muawiyah. Should I call him his name? I personally don't like it. I don't like it neither, but what can we do? Sheikhna, someone's called Muawiyah, or some people have the names of the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt and so forth. Should we call them by their names, or should we try and find something else to call them?
These names were very common in the times of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I think one of the great narrators of the hadith in the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, when Muwaqqa alayhi salam, was Muawiyah ibn Wahab, a great respected alim and narrator of the hadith. Another one was Umar bin Yazid, in which the Imam says, Umar bin Yazid is from us, Ahlul Bayt, minna Ahlul Bayt, Umar bin Yazid. So these names were common in those times. That's why sometimes they attack us, that, Imam Ali had a son called Umar, for example. How come? We have a response to that. That number one, these names were common in that time. And then how he was named, of course, we have to see the history. How this man was named Umar as a result. Who told the Imam to call him Umar, for example. So we have to read the history correctly. And we shouldn't be tricked and cheated by these names. That, okay, because Ahlul Bayt had ashab, pious and respected ashab with such names, then we have to respect those names as well. No. We have, for example, in Iraq, names of Uday, for example. The son of Saddam was Uday, for example. But these names were common in those days. Now nobody calls his son, for example, Uday. So we shouldn't be tricked, and as I've said, with such names that, okay, because some of the ulama, or let's say their sons are named with such names, then we have to respect those leaders with such names.
Okay, from YouTube again. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it permissible for a menstruating woman to visit a mosque or Imam Barka? I think they're not allowed to go to a masjid. I know that much. But Husayniyah, can they visit the Husayniyah?
What is not permissible is the mosque, a place in which became as a waqf as a mosque for the
So
salah
has
and
to have a
everything.
dome, has to have a minaret. Something has to be recited.
Anyhow, yes,
for
if
it
it's
to
a
be
mosque, that's it.
an
They cannot
official
enter.
mosque or masjid.
But for the Islamic center, let's say,
Yeah.
Husayniyah, Imam Barka, no, there's no issue with it. They
Okay.
can attend. It's just the masjid and the shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. You know, the shrines were near the qabr and the darih, for example,
Yeah.
or the place in which it's known to be as masjid.
Yeah, I think we need to make it clear that not every mosque that you go to is an official masjid. There has to be, there's certain rules that they have to have. There's some certain recitations that have to be read. And once that happens, then it's an officially a mosque where no najasa can actually enter and fall there. From WhatsApp, Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum. I'm going through the health issue of passing wind, and this happens during Salah too. So do I have to recite and start Salah again, followed by wudu? Great question, actually. Sheikhna, this happens a lot with elderly people as well. IBS, they get very gassy and so forth. Sometimes they can't control their bowel movement and so forth like that. If one is known to break wind quite a lot and so forth, and they do it while they're praying Salah, what is the hukum here?
What is mentioned about those who have issues in terms of passing urine, drops of urine continuously, and they have actually covered the place, put like a small plastic bag to avoid the najasa to spread, that they have to have next to them a bowl of water or a jug of water. So when they actually have this najasa coming out in the salah, to stop their salah, and then they do the wudu inside while they have paused their salah, not to cut the salah, no, as they are in that position, to do the wudu, and then continue and resume the salah inside the salah. So you just stop, let's say Alhamdulillah Surah, for example, or in your rak'ah or sajda, for example, you stop it, do the wudu, and then continue with your salah. You shouldn't avoid or make it batil.
But that's really extreme. That's someone who finds it very difficult to keep wudu for, let's say, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, because Salah's not that long. So it's for extreme.
Some people can't control it, to be honest.
No, that's fair.
Salah.
If they can't, they can't. That's just the way it happens. Okay, Sheikh, now we've got another question here from WhatsApp, and that is, I read the Mutassigha with a girl by myself and her permission, but now I found out I should have involved a third person. Is my aqd batil?
It depends who you follow. I mean, some of the marajah would not accept it. So it depends which marja you follow. So if you do so, then you have to ask somebody else to read the
His
aqd
Eminence
again.
Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, Hafidhullah, what does he say?
He would allow it, but I don't think others would allow Lakatullah Sistani.
Okay.
One should refer and check, because you have to
check
have
with
somebody else to do it for you.
Check with your own marja what they say, or tell us what your marja, who your marja is, and we'll answer that next week on what you should be doing. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I have waswas regarding tahara and it's gone very far now. What do I do? I'm at my wit's end. I'm a Muqallid of Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani. You need to go see a doctor first and see if you can get diagnosed for OCD, because that's most likely what you have. But Sheikhna, for those who have waswas regarding tahara, especially in this extreme circumstance, they're saying that there's too much waswas in regards to tahara, what should they do?
I mean, one of the successful ways that shaitan can whisper into one's mind is through the worship. So you would have waswas of repeating your salah many times, repeating your ghusl many times, repeating your wudu many times, or even performing the wudu for 20 minutes, or ghusl for 1 hour, for example, and wasting much of water so in the drain. So best thing is to ignore, because as the hadith mentioned, I mentioned many times before, that the Imam said this is from shaitan. So ignore and just carry on with your work and with your ibadah, and just say that Alhamdulillah, I did it correct and it's right, and just carry on with your work.
A lot of people forget when it comes to fiqh that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this religion of ease.
Exactly.
It wasn't, the fiqh didn't come to make your life more difficult. It came to make your life more easy. That is like a philosophy or a principle that we have with Islamic law. So if you're making it difficult for yourself, you're doing something wrong. And Sayyid Amar says it quite he says it quite famously, that the easy things we try to make hard, and the hard things we try to make easy in fiqh. If it's easy for you, why are you trying to make it more difficult? And if it's difficult, why are you trying to make it easy? It's difficult for a purpose.
Exactly.
But people always have something to say. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. If we cannot go to the Dari of Mawla Ghazi Abbas, how do we make him a wasila? As in, how do we respectfully ask him for help? So if we can't go to Abu Fadl, inshallah, we pray everyone has an opportunity to go to Karbala and do the Ziyarat of Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. But if we can't go there, we can't touch the Dari, we can't ask for wasila and so forth, how do we do it?
Of course, the meaning of the ziyarah, that I'm going to visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it means to go and visit him inside the courtyard, in front of his darih, next to his darih. That's what the ziyarah meaning, the original or the main meaning of the ziyarah. If I say to you, I'm going to come and visit you, it doesn't make sense that I'm sitting in London and you're in Birmingham, and I say salam to you over the phone. That's not the ziyarah. Ziyarah is that I travel to Birmingham, and come to your house and visit you in your own house. So that's the meaning of the ziyarah. But of course, when you look through the books of the hadith, Kamil al-Ziyarat, for example, they tell us that the Imam says, if you can't go to Ziyarat of Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, then go up on your rooftop and say, Assalamu alaikum Abu Abdullah, and then the salam would reach to the Imam alayhi salam.
Inshallah.
So that's called ziyarah min ba'id. Or we have ziyarah of Rasulullah from far, exactly.
Distance,
So these are given to those who can't go and do the ziyarah.
I see. Another question here. Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Is it permissible to watch movies for prolonged hours such that the individual's time is wasted and detract him from other important matters that are mandatory, such as promoting and cementing desired values and reforming the society? Sheikhna, this is a very, very common issue where people will get addicted to television. Maybe there's a really, really good program, dramas and things like that. Oh, I need to see the next episode. I have to. Programs that you find on Netflix and Amazon and so forth, notorious for this. People get addicted. They watch 10 episodes in one day. Each episode was an hour and so forth and things like that. Is this haram?
If this results in abandoning duties, let's say, I have to stay awake all most of the night to watch the movie or even football.
Yeah.
We have this, we've seen this. Some football matches goes up to 3-4 hours because of the extra time and penalties and so forth. And that results of abandoning a duty, and that's Salat al-Subh, Fajr Salah, Namaz. Of course, that would be forbidden. So you have to leave and pray, sleep early to be able to catch up with your Salah, because you're going to lose a great thawab and reward because of staying overnight and watching movies or football. Of course, when we say this, these are without any haram scenes and clips. Otherwise, if it's haram, then we have now a double sin committed. Number one, by abandoning duty, that's namaz al-fajr, for example, and number two, watching indecent scenes and clips within the movie or even football.
From WhatsApp, Sheikhna, Assalamu alaikum. When there is no heir for a deceased Muslim person in the foreign land, who should take charge of his burial or her burial? That's a really, really good question. For example, if there's someone who has passed away, they weren't married, they don't have children or this or that, who should bury them?
Well, it is, as mentioned by the fuqaha, it's wajib kifa'i, means it becomes wajib on every single Muslim who's around that area and region to go and bury this deceased Muslim and dead Muslim. Otherwise, it would become haram on all Muslims who know and live around that area to leave this body of this mayyit without burial and so forth. Wajib kifa'i. So if one man comes forward and he performs all the a'mal of the janazah, then of course will be waived from others. Otherwise, all will be sinful. So one should come forward and basically take over the issue. I had similar issue from a brother who called me from outside London, and they had a janazah in a hospital.
Wow.
And they were waiting for somebody to come and take the janazah. Otherwise, they're going to basically, as you know, cremate and they burn the body. So alhamdulillah, we managed to get some brothers, I think from one of the centers. They have, I think, almost free services in terms of for those who have no family members to pay for the cost of the burials. They would take, and alhamdulillah, that was sorted, and they came and took the body, and they sent it to Najaf, alhamdulillah, as a result. And it was buried in Najaf as a result, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Another question here. I think it says from YouTube, can you listen to music without swearing? I think it means swearing. But my friend, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you can't listen to music full stop. Another question, Sheikhna. In regards to the question with someone who has excess doubts on tahara and so forth, the waswas, are they allowed to perform tayammum instead of using the water?
No, if you have water, it's forbidden to use tayammum. There's no way. Tayammum is an exception.
Absence of water.
Absence of water
and if the water
other
is
means. Exactly. Or the water is harmful on your skin, for example, or for hospital treatments, I don't know, other issues in which you must avoid water, then of course the second wajib becomes the tayammum, and instead of water, which is harmful or it's not available, for example.
Fair enough. Sheikh, final question for this evening, and that is, if someone wants to perform an audible salah, so Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, and silently, and vice versa, if they want to perform Dhuhr and Asr audibly, and they do this on purpose, what is the ruling for this salah?
You have the Salat al-Fajr and Maghrib and Isha must be performed audibly, in other words, aloud. For Surah Al-Hamd and the second surah, short surah, of first and second rak'ah, you have this audibly. Of course, mainly for men, because women have different hukum. They're allowed to recite it audibly or non silently. But for the men, they have to recite it audibly, because the sisters, when they are in let's say in a general public, and they're non-mahram, of course, they can actually do it silently. But in overall, one must recite audibly, otherwise the salah would be void and batil.
Really?
Yes, you have to recite it. So if you know the hukum and you recite Salat al-Fajr silently, the salah will be batil. So you must recite it audibly or aloud.
It's actually batil.
If you don't know, let's say you're jahil.
Oh, okay. So if you do it on purpose.
On purpose, yes. But somebody
if it was an accident.
who was jahil, let's say, he doesn't know the hukum. Or let's say you forgot. I mean, sometimes it happens to us. In Isha, we pray it silently, and then we remember after half of the surah. Then that's fine in terms of somebody who did it without intention.
Wow, fantastic. We're ending the show, but we've got some questions here from YouTube. Inshallah, we're able to answer them quickly. How to remove sin? Just say astaghfar, inshallah, and refrain from doing it, and there won't be any problems. What should one recite when shaitan puts waswas in your heart, mind, regarding your worst fears? Personally, I think you need to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, do astaghfar. And if this is affecting your, if it's to do with fears and so forth coming up, you might have some trauma that you need to see a doctor for. But Sheikhna, do you want to say anything on that? On what should one recite when shaitan puts waswas in your heart and mind regarding your worst fears?
Recite Surah Yasin every day.
MashaAllah.
That's one of the keys.
Okay.
Keys of repelling the shaitan and the waswasa and whispering of the Satan. Inshallah.
Thank you very much, Sheikhna. Thank you to all the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't answer your question, I do apologize. We've run out of time, but inshallah we'll roll them over to Monday's episode, 7 p.m. here on Imam Hussein TV. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please continue to send them on the WhatsApp, the numbers there below. And inshallah, on the next episode, we'll be able to answer your questions and your queries. Inshallah, guys, stay safe, have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday here on Imam Hussein TV 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Jiddu, I need to tell you a secret. I had an exam today and I cheated on the exam, and to be honest, I feel like it's eating me up inside as if it's haram.
Your father used to do the exact something and would always get in trouble. But you have done it now and cannot go back. I don't know if it is haram. Khair inshallah.
Thanks, Jiddu. Jiddu, I wanted to ask if it's halal to buy lottery tickets. They're so cheap and we could make a lot of money.
I don't know if it is halal or haram, but never think about something like that again.
Okay, I was just asking. Jiddu.
Ta'abitni, what do you want now?
I just wanted to ask if this has beef gelatin, is it halal or haram?
You're supposed to check it before buying it, not after. I don't know if this is halal or haram.
Okay.
What now? I am trying to relax. Why do you keep asking me? تعالي هنا الخاطر الله. Just go watch Ahkam SOS. Any question you have, they can answer you. You can call them, message them, anything. Ask as much as you like. They can answer any question from any marja, okay?